His security guard pushed an old woman to the ground, and the millionaire almost let it happen. That one moment nearly cost him everything he didn't know he still had. James Harlow had a routine. Every morning, 7:15 a.m., black SUV, coffee in hand, phone in the other. His estate in the hills of Atlanta was the kind of place that made people slow their cars down, just to look at the gate, marble pillars, security cameras. A guard named Rex who took his job extremely seriously, maybe a little too seriously. James had built Harlow Industries from a single rented office and a laptop held together by a rubber band. 17 years later, he had 400 employees, a private jet, and a reputation for being the hardest man in the room to impress. He didn't do small talk. He didn't do slow mornings, and he definitely didn't do unannounced visitors at his front gate. So when Rex came over the intercom that Tuesday and said, "Sir, there's a woman at the gate. Old. Says she knows you. I'm removing her now." James didn't even look up from his phone. He just said, "Handle it." 2 words. That's all it took. But then something made him look up. He didn't know why. Some instinct. Some tiny alarm going off somewhere, deep inside his chest, that he hadn't heard in years. He walked to the window that looked out over the front of the estate, and he saw her. She was small, bent slightly at the shoulders, wearing a brown coat that had been washed so many times it had turned the color of dust. She was holding a plastic bag close to her chest like it was something precious. Rex had his hand on her arm and was walking her away from the gate. Not violently, but firm. The way you'd walk someone you've already decided doesn't matter. She turned her head. And James Harlow, a man who had sat across the table from billionaires without blinking, froze. He knew that face. He knew it the way you know a song you haven't heard in 30 years. The way it hits you before your brain even catches up. Every line on that face, every gray strand of hair. He knew it all. Her name was Ruth Owens. And without Ruth Owens, there would be no James Harlow. There would be no Harlow Industries. There would be no gate, no marble pillars, no Rex. There would be nothing. James grew up in Granton, a neighborhood in East Atlanta that most people in his tax bracket had never heard of and never would. His mother worked 2 jobs. His father had left when James was 4. By the time James was 12, he had figured out that the world was divided into 2 types of people, those who got chances and those who didn't. He was convinced he was the second type. His grades were bad, not because he was stupid, he wasn't, but because he was angry at everything, at the empty chair at the dinner table, at the shoes that were a size too small because there was no money for new ones, at the teachers who looked at him like they had already written his ending. Ruth Owens was his 7th grade English teacher. She was the first adult in his school life who looked at him like his story wasn't over yet. She didn't pity him. She didn't give him special treatment. She did something much harder than both of those things. She held him to a higher standard than he held himself. When he turned in a paragraph full of spelling mistakes, she handed it back and said, "You can do better than this, James. I've seen it. Do it again." When he skipped her class, she called his mother. When he told her in a fit of anger one afternoon that he didn't see the point of any of it, she sat down across from him, looked him dead in the eye and said, "The point is that you're going to be somebody, and I'm not going to let you waste it." He didn't believe her, but she kept saying it anyway. She stayed after school to help him with essays. She lent him books from her own shelf. Not school books, real books. Stories about people who had started with nothing and built something. She wrote him a recommendation letter when he applied for a local scholarship he didn't think he had a chance of getting. He got it. That scholarship paid for his first 2 years of community college. Community college led to a transfer. The transfer led to a degree. The degree led to the rubber band laptop and the rented office and everything that came after. Ruth Owens was the first domino, and James had not spoken to her in 21 years. He told himself it was because he got busy. And that was true for the first few years. But then the real reason, the one he didn't say out loud, he was embarrassed. Embarrassed that he had been that angry kid who didn't believe in himself. Embarrassed that someone had seen him at his lowest. Embarrassed that he owed so much to a woman he had never properly thanked. The longer he waited, the heavier it got, until it was just easier to not think about it at all. Until a Tuesday morning in October when Rex had his hand on her arm. James was out the front door before he even made a conscious decision to move. "Rex, stop, let her go. Right now." Rex turned around looking confused. He let go. Ruth turned around, and for a second neither of them said anything. Just 2 people standing at an iron gate. 21 years of silence hanging between them like weather. Ruth smiled first. "You got taller," she said. James laughed. It came out strange. Half laugh, half something else entirely. "You came here on the bus?" "2 buses," she said and held up the plastic bag. "I brought you something." Inside the bag were 3 books. Old ones. The same ones she had lent him back in 7th grade. She had kept them all this time, thinking she'd return them someday when she found the right moment. She had finally decided to stop waiting for the right moment. James brought her inside. They sat in his kitchen, this enormous marble kitchen that probably cost more than Ruth's entire apartment building, and they talked for 3 hours. He found out she had retired 6 years ago, that she still lived in Granton, that she had kept teaching until her body simply told her it was time to stop, that she had followed the news about Harlow Industries over the years, quietly, the way you watch a garden you planted grow from a distance. She never reached out, because she didn't want him to feel like she was there for the money or the fame. She had taught him for him, not for what he would become. James had to excuse himself for a minute. He went to his home office, shut the door, and stood there for a while doing what 43-year-old self-made millionaires are absolutely not supposed to do in their home offices. When he came back out, he told Ruth that he was setting up a scholarship fund in her name at their old school. 10 scholarships per year for students in Granton. Full tuition. He asked her if she would be involved in selecting the students. She tried to say it was too much. He reminded her of something she used to say to him in 7th grade. "You can do better than this. I've seen it. Do it again." She stopped arguing. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about success. The version that actually means something isn't the gate, or the jet, or the marble kitchen. It's being able to look back and find the person who refused to give up on you before you gave up on yourself, and then making sure they know what they did. James almost missed that. He almost let Rex walk her away. 2 words. Handle it. And he almost lost the chance forever. Don't wait 21 years. Whoever your Ruth Owens is, call them today, not tomorrow.